I never typed that fast in my life. Let's see. Yes. Let's see. Are we live on Rumble? We are live on Rumble. Oh, Jesus. That took a bit. Let's move them over here. Yeah. All right. Texas versus Lisa Dykes in the Marisela Botello murder trial. The Fox 4 Dallas stream ended day 5. They tuned out when the prosecution said they rested their case. So I checked the first few seconds or few minutes, finding where it actually started on day 6. And then I found out, they rested their case on day 5. That would have been swell to know. That would have been good to tell everybody when I did my previous Texas v Dark stream. But here we are. We are starting the defense case in chief. And of course, since the prosecution ended so fast, or so late yesterday, or day 6, we have the directed verdict. The motion to directed verdict will come, and that's might be interesting, in my opinion. I want you all to be listening to what the judge actually says, and try to remember, wait a minute, was that actually going on? Hey, Tammy. Hello, folks, and welcome, by the way. Welcome. And welcome over at Rumble. I hope you're feeling fine. Everybody remember, thumbs up. So my channel here and my channel over at Rumble gets more promoted. And I think most of you who have Rumble have already, but just in case, that's... Hold on. Dun, dun, dun. I will post the link to my Rumble stream here. Rumble. Just in case you want to go over to Rumble. And yeah, I know Rumble has a lot of work to do before they become an actual competitor. They need to work on a lot of things. For instance, allowing me to set up 2 streams at a time. Because, yeah. Yes, make sure you hit the like button on the last stream as well as on this one. Yesterday's stream has over 500 views and only 107 likes. I thank you all, 107 who gave me the thumbs up. But 500 views, I think I deserve better. I really do. But we are here for this. The Marisela Botello murder trial. And we will hear a bit. Well, we will play. I hope I can go less than 90 minutes on the defense and their first couple of witnesses. But so, yeah, here we go. Let me know if sound is okay from court, because it usually isn't. Thank you, great success. 1 thumb from me.
All right, let's get back on the record outside the presence of hearing of the jury. Is there anything we need to take care of before bringing the jury in?
Yes, Your Honor, the state would like to make an oral motion limiting concerning the testimony of Christine Ramirez. The Dallas Police Department detective, we anticipate the defense is calling her as their first witness, and we would would just like ask the board to read out any pretrial hearing matters, including the discovery matters that we had pretrial hearings in 282nd Court in front of Judge Gibbons concerning late discovery that was turned over to the state. And the reason for that, Your Honors, we don't believe it's relevant to this trial. Since that time, that discovery issue has been rectified, and the defense has had plenty of time since February of 2023 to review any discovery that may have been turned over late by detective hearings.
Judge, my response to that is I'm not getting into any specifics about the pretrial hearing, but I am hoping to talk about the fact that there was discovery that was not turned over to the defense. And the reason that's relevant because it goes to the quality of this investigation, number one. But number two, had we gotten that discovery at an earlier time, we could have done some things to further investigate and further prepare our defense. And because we didn't get that.
Yeah, here's the thing. If the state doesn't turn it over in due time, well, that can ruin the tactics. You can specify your motions. You specify your motions to the court according to the tactics you believe this is what we're going in trial. That's what happens pre-trial. And if discovery is turned over late, well, all of a sudden, well, now I might have revealed some things I might not have done had I known this discovery. Again, a prosecution playing dirty. Again, all the damn time. Prosecution playing dirty.
Discovery in a timely manner because of this detective. We believe that it's hindered our defense, specifically in trying to locate certain witnesses. This witness that was a patron at the Reno, the Brown brothers. There are a lot of people that we didn't get that information until it was so late that we couldn't move on it. Or it hindered our ability to, I believe.
Yeah. The discovery they are talking about is the fact that somebody thought the day after the alleged murder took place, thought they saw Marisela somewhere at the club or wherever it was on the day after. And we heard the testimony from the FBI agent yesterday about, well, we couldn't see if it was her or wasn't her. And they also didn't write down the name of the person who thought he saw her. Had the defense known this earlier, they could have spent resources finding out. But since they didn't, their tactics, now this defense, their tactics is shit to begin with. Garbage. But that doesn't mean they could have done better had they known earlier. They didn't, so they shaped their motions to fit their tactics. As in, for instance, this might explain why they are so scattered. Because in one hand, they are blaming, trying to pin this on Chucky, which was more or less most of their pre-trial motions. And all of a sudden, they found out that she might have been seen later. But they already, yeah. So that might be one of the reasons why the defense is so scattered. Because all of a sudden, they have evidence they didn't know about because the prosecution plays dirty.
We locate these people. So because of that, it's definitely relevant.
And Your Honor, if I just may respond to that, if that is the issue he's discussing, those documents were already turned over with the first turning over of the discovery, the incident reports concerning, I believe he's talking about it, Mr. Orlando Brown that was spoken to outside of a Mustang Inn.
All right, you'll have the opportunity to cross-examine the witness regarding everything the detective did during the course of her investigation, and this being your witness, you can question her about everything she did during the course of her investigation, including after the case was filed and what evidence she did or did not turn over, and she can answer those questions if she knows.
Good ruling.
Is there rather than just generally, during the course of my understanding of questioning and a prior pretrial hearing, the detective, it came to light that she had not turned over some evidence?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, she could be cross-examined about any prior testimony and questioned about that. So,
This is, by the way, this is the investigator the prosecution chose to not have testify during their case in chief. Isn't that interesting?
I assume we have a transcript of that.
We do have a transcript of that, which is ownership and possession right now of all the transcripts, and obviously the defenses.
Then your motion, if you want to have a hearing on those issues, you can. However, it seems like that would be rather lengthy. You want to, your motion is limited with regard to any evidence the detective turned over later.
It was just more that we rectified that situation, and so we don't believe that is necessarily relevant to these proceedings.
Overruled.
Thank you, Judge.
Is there anything else we need to take up?
That's it from the state.
Anything from the defense?
Good ruling, in my opinion. Good ruling from the judge.
Has rested. Is there anything to take out?
Here comes the motion to directed verdict.
Motion for directed verdict at this time, based on the fact that we don't believe that the state has provided significant evidence to prove each and every element of this indictment beyond reasonable doubt. We don't believe that there is, because Mr. Beltran is an accomplice witness, we don't believe that there is sufficient evidence to, we don't believe that there's sufficient evidence to corroborate his testimony in this case. And because there's not sufficient evidence to corroborate his testimony in regards to specifically the murder case and the tampering case, Your Honor, we would ask that a motion for directed verdict be granted.
Directed verdict for, I assume, not guilty.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, with regard to your motion in the tampering case, that is denied. However, in the murder case, it is alleged in the indictment that Lisa Dykes, on or about the 5th day of October 2020 in the county of Dallas, State of Texas, et cetera, caused the death of Marisela Botello Gonzalez, and after called deceased by stabbing deceased with a 9-inch sharp object, a deadly weapon. The indictment goes on to say, and by a manner unknown to the grand jury, using a deadly weapon, unknowable to the grand jury, a deadly weapon. What says the state?
Those would both be in the conjunctive that there would be the state that would prove either one of those manner means that are alleged in the indictment. We have sufficient evidence that's been before the court and before the jury as to each and every one of the elements, specifically how the manner means, as to the argument about accomplice testimony. The law doesn't.
No, we're not moving over that yet.
I apologize about the sound, but this is the crap sound from court. I have tuned it up as far as I can. I have the sound enhancer at 500% plus this one, which is an additional 25%. I can't go any higher, which means there's a lot of background noise. But at least we can hear her.
The court has not heard any testimony that there was a deadly weapon unknowable to the grand jury, or that the death occurred in a manner unknown to the grand jury.
Yes, Your Honor, we could abandon those aspects of the indictment.
All right.
Okay, say they are abandoning death by unknown weapon. The state. So back to, did anything cooperate? Chucky's testimony about stabbing.
So you are abandoning the language and by a manner unknown to the grand jury, using a deadly weapon unknowable to the grand jury, a deadly weapon. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I am striking that language from the indictment in both paragraphs. So the indictment and the evidence before the court regarding that the defendant did knowingly or intentionally cause the death of Marisela Botello Valadez, an individual hereinafter called deceased, by stabbing deceased with a knife or a sharp object, a deadly weapon, and further did unlawfully then and there intend to cause serious bodily injury to the complainant, etc., did then and there commit an act clearly dangerous to human life to it by stabbing deceased with a knife and sharp object, a deadly weapon.
It's just, that's my point, is that if you listen to Beltran, he says he never saw her stab him. And unfortunately for the state, even the information from the autopsy does not speak to the manner, other than saying it was homicide, it doesn't say that she was stabbed. There's no evidence that she was stabbed. Their own witness says he didn't see her stabbed. Is what his testimony was. He just saw blood. And specifically, no one has articulated that whatever object he's alleging Ms. Dykes had was in fact a deadly weapon.
I think he's making a bad argument here. He shouldn't be addressing Mr. Botello or Mr. Shockey at all, because the prosecution has to prove, and this is in the light most favorable to the prosecution, that something cooperates his testimony. Now, what do we have? We have a coroner that can't find trauma to the bones. Oh, we have the bone-looking guy, the forensic anthropologist, who can't find trauma on the bones. You have the coroner, who can't find trauma on the remains, who still found it homicidal violence. Where, except from Mr. Shockey, is there evidence, sharp or knife? Where? Where is it? Except from Mr. Shockey. That's the only one, in my opinion, that alleges sharp object or stabbing motion with something. I'm leaning. I could argue for a directed verdict here, but we also know there will be a defense case in chief, so we already know she will deny it. So let's listen to her.
There was testimony that a knife is a deadly weapon.
Okay.
There was testimony that a knife is a deadly weapon. From Shockey, yeah, but from who else? Please, Judge, who else testified about sharp force trauma on the remains or the bones? Who? You never found a knife or a sharp object in the house because the investigators are shit, lazy, and shouldn't be working as police officers. Because they went there too late after the house was cleaned out. Now, is the allegation that there might have been a knife? No. I can't remember at any point somebody else than Shockey testifying about stabbing. None of it.
And regarding whether or not the court recalls Mr. Beltran stating he saw that the defendant stabbed.
No, Mr. Beltran over and over tried to say stabbing motion. We should be looking for evidence that corroborates his testimony.
A knife down into her chest. But that is something for the jury to decide.
Yes, ma'am.
Therefore,
So everything relies on the jury believing Chuck Beltran. The only person in that trio with a criminal past, with a conviction of violence against women. That's it.
your motion for directed verdict not guilty is denied.
Denied.
All right. Anything else we need to take out?
No, ma'am.
Judge Williams? Yes.
See when they are bringing in the jury.
You may be seated. All right, ma'am, if you would please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you have given in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may be seated.
You already tried to hide evidence from the defense. I don't believe you can swear on it.
State your name for the record.
Christine Ramirez
And Mr. Ramirez, how are you employed?
with the City of Dallas Police Department.
How long have you been employed as a police officer with the city of Dallas?
It'll be 27 or 28 years in March.
28 years.
Yes,
All right, and in that 28 years, one of the positions you held was lead detective on, I guess, this murder case. Is that correct?
yes.
All right. And I specifically want to talk to you about this case and your investigation of the case and the manner and means in which you obtained the probable cause affidavit to arrest Ms. Dykes, Nina Morano, and Charles Beltran. You did obtain arrest warrants in those cases, correct?
Yes, we did.
And also search warrants to search their phones, correct?
Yes, we did.
And that's based on information that you gathered during the investigation of Ms. Botello's murder, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go back to the beginning. When you were assigned this case, what unit were you in at that time?
Excuse me?
When you initially were assigned the case, what unit were you in?
Special Investigations Unit.
All right, and what did you do in the special investigation?
Investigate officer-involved shootings. Special investigations dealing with cold cases.
So was this considered a cold case? It wasn't an officer-involved shooting?
No, it's special investigations case.
And that's how you
Endangered person when suspected foul play is actually.
Because when you first got the case, there was no evidence that Marisela was dead, correct? When you first were assigned the case.
Correct.
And it's still a missing persons case.
Endangered person, missing person.
Right, consider the difference, right?
Yes.
And explain that to the members of the jury.
Missing person is someone who has not been seen or located during a certain period of time. And then after family are concerned where they have not seen the family or suspicion of foul play has actually occurred, then they will actually classify that as endangered person, missing
In
person.
this case, what was the suspicion about what?
Due to the information that I received from the previous detective,
And what was that?
that there was records were indicated that the complainant was not in her hometown, Seattle. She was here visiting in Dallas. A Lyft report showed that she was at an establishment in Deep Ellum, and that phone records showed that she was no longer there, but had proceeded elsewhere to a 7-Eleven store, and then from that point to a home in Mesquite. And then from that location, there was no other phone records that I can recall from Ms. Botello, the complainant.
Okay, but the person, it was known at that time that the person that she was with at the 7-Eleven was Charles Beltran, correct?
At the time when he was as person of interest,
Right, I mean, it's just a person of interest, but you're looking, because you want to talk to the person that we see her on the 7-Eleven with, right?
yes.
Uh,
And there was a vehicle also involved.
And just so we're clear, me show you what's marked as defense exhibit number 1. This is the, like a screenshot from the surveillance camera at 7-Eleven, right?
Correct.
Where we would have saw Marisela and a person that was later found to be Charles Beltran.
Correct.
Now, at some point, you continue your investigation, correct?
Yes, sir.
And y'all end up at that house in Mesquite.
Well, the previous, if you're talking about the beginning of it, or when I actually took place, when I actually started the investigation.
Okay, yeah. What do you mean the previous?
Well, the previous detective that was actually
And who was that?
Dalby.
Okay. And what did Darby do?
My understanding is that they were out there in Mesquite.
They're in Mesquite.
But I can't give you exact details because I wasn't there, other than what I was told or
Okay,
information.
well, tell us what happened once you took over the investigation, what you did.
During that time, we reviewed everything that was given from that detective, and then whatever identification type of links that would actually give us to a specific car, phone number, contact, social media, whatever information we can get to find out who this Beltran person was at.
Because when you referred to the car on the 7-Eleven surveillance videos, we knew that it was black out, right?
We knew it was a black vehicle until later registration popped up where it showed to be an Audi with a license.
Yes, all line read. The actual lead investigator has arrived. She is the one who took over the case. Correct. Yes. This is the officer the prosecution didn't want on their case in chief. Their lead investigator. Even the prosecution believes, in my opinion, she did such a poor job that they didn't want to use her on her case in chief. Why? Because she would have been so easily impeached. So they waited for, they allowed her, instead of preemptive, having her on and then move on, here's our case, and let's deal with it when the defense comes here, because I would too, because the defense is crap, in my opinion.
And the black Audi registered to Mr. Beltran and Ms. Dykes.
Yes.
All right. Based on that, y'all were able to get the Kensington address.
Yes.
And then you got a search warrant for that location, right?
Yes.
All right. Were you present during the search warrant?
Yes.
At some point after y'all searched that location, what happens?
They when the crime scene investigator, I asked him to actually what do you call it? I can't remember, the blue star. It's a chemical reaction, so I wanted that to be sprayed among the whole house, and from that point, that's where we found that there was some type of possibly blood that was in one of the rooms, and they actually tore it up. Not tore it up, like removed it, like they did to actually have it for testing.
Okay, so let's go back. So what does the blue star do?
It's a chemical reaction to blood. Like I said, I'm not an expert on it, so I can't really testify really onto that. But
it's a chemical that reacts to the iron in the substance. Blood has iron in it, so it reacts. They also do it to squirrel blood, or a vegetable with a lot of iron in it, like broccoli. You still have to test it to make sure. Hence, the preemptive search and arrest warrant on, in my opinion, the preemptive arrest warrant on Ms. Dykes. Because once they tested it, the blood wasn't hers, or the DNA. No, neither was the DNA.
I know my understanding is get the protein from blood to actually determine if that there was actually human blood in the
And so even if you try to wipe it up,
from the top. Yeah,
the blue star is going to detect that blood.
it'll change color because they actually did the testing prior to, and then when it changed color, it turned to purple. I was mistaken.
And you had them do the whole house?
Yes, as far as most of the house. Once we there are some stains in the house that we noticed So for sure, we made sure that those were actually spot checked.
And I guess I'm gonna get right to the point. In reference to the arrest warrant that you swore to, there's a lot of information in there. Like, for example, talking about the blood, you indicated in the arrest warrant that Marisela's blood was found and that there was a female and a male blood that was found that you believe belonged to Charles Beltran, Lisa Dykes, and Nina Moreno, right?
If I'm not mistaken, it's correct.
Right. That's what you told the judge you believe, right?
Yes.
But that wasn't true, was it?
Like I said, it's a probable cause, so probably happened. So it's not a confirmed statement, it's a probable cause
My
statement.
question,
Probable cause, and all you need is a guess from a police officer in Texas. Probable cause. Hey, Judge, I'm guessing this. Please rubber stamp. Welcome to Texas. Lone Star State where you supposedly don't trust the government. This is who you trust, Texans. Her writing down information, I'm sure it will turn up. And here's the thing, it's allowed because it was done in good faith. And then here's the thing, you can do it in good faith. I don't mind. But if then the information turns out to be completely wrong or false, excluded. Then the arrest warrant should be null and void, in my opinion. But not in Texas. Texas have this thing with fruit from the poisonous tree, as in, hey, let's bite it.
my question to you is, when you make the statement, my question to you is, the blood that was found in the bedroom did belong to Marisela, right?
Yes, after we got the DNA, correct.
But it did not belong to Lisa Dykes, Nina Moreno, nor Charles Beltran, right?
At that point, we did not know because we didn't have their DNA to actually test it on.
Do you know now?
Based
That
on
blood-
what? Pardon?
Do you know now for a fact that the DNA on whatever blood that was found in Mr. Beltran's room did not belong to Charles Beltran?
Correct.
Did not belong to Lisa Moreno?
Lisa.
Lisa Dykes?
Correct.
Did not belong to Nina Moreno?
Correct.
So you were wrong.
All right. Ta-da! Case closed, case over, in my opinion. But I said this from the very beginning. It's a strange case. It's a stranger trial. And I started covering this because I was supposed to. But Young Thug started. And then Young Thug had a pause. So I started to, because there's something in the end of this trial that will, and that's the main reason why I started covering this case.
Like I said, it was probable cause at the time. Right now, of course, I mean, the DNA, of course, is going to show who actually DNA is actually belongs to that blood.
Ma'am, I'm not saying you didn't believe it. I'm just saying you were wrong. That blood didn't belong to those people, did it?
Correct.
So you were wrong.
Correct.
There was a hair sample inside the Audi. Remember
Yes.
that?
Yes.
And you believe that hair sample belonged to Marisela, didn't you?
Based on matching, yes. Matching the description of a dark hair, long hair.
But it didn't, did it?
No.
You
I
were
thought-
wrong.
Correct.
You were wrong, correct?
Based on evidence, correct.
You also indicated that in the Audi, that there was concrete. What did you say about the concrete? That it was similar to the concrete that was out in the wheel area?
There was concrete found in the vehicle. Based on the phone records that we got initially, showed that the vehicle or the suspect vehicle was actually at a concrete place. So we actually went to the location to actually see where the target cell phone records, I'm sorry, not real good records, but showed that it was at a concrete firm. So we actually went out there and saw that there was concrete. And based on that, that's why we based on the information we had that the Audi had actual cement on their, I think it was the.
They had cement, not concrete. Hey, you got a gifted membership yesterday. Yeah, you're welcome. Welcome to the Vikings saying hi. You have access to all my members only content and access to cement is a binding agent made from stone and clay. Concrete is building material created through the mixing of cement, water, sand, and rock. So it's like, say, flour and cake. You use flour to make cake, but it isn't cake. That's the difference between cement and concrete. No, I'm not mad at all. I'm not mad at all. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm just explaining. So yeah, that's the difference. So they found one thing and thought it was another, because. But I know it's a really, really easy mistake to make. That's a police officer who has a probable cause affidavit written because she thinks cement and concrete is the same thing. You need to do better. You are paid to find out it's a Googling away. Cement and concrete. And you wrote a probable cause affidavit based on your inability to make a 5-second Google.
I think the rear tire, if I'm not mistaken. I had to check on record.
But that's the Audi, right?
Yes.
And you're saying that you believe that car would have gone out to that location on October 5th, right?
Well, we know that we know which car it was, but we know that vehicle was Beltran's and Lisa Dykes.
Well, I mean, in your investigation, isn't it true that Mr. Beltran, when he left the Mesquite location on October 5th, he left in the Audi, did he?
I don't know what vehicle he actually left in, unless
So
it's here.
you're the lead detective in this case, and you're telling members of the jury that you don't know which vehicle he left Mesquite in that morning.
Well, I know the vehicle was a black vehicle that was taken to a oil change place, and it had Beltran's name on it.
Because Mr. Beltran on the 5th took that vehicle to the oil change place, right?
I suppose so, yes, sir.
Because on October the 5th, Charles Beltran is driving the black Audi, isn't he?
According to that, yes, sir.
Ma'am, in reference to okay, I want to also ask you specifically in regards to your investigation as the lead detective in the case. I mean, you can tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly about this case, correct?
Yes, sir.
I mean, you are the lead detective, right?
Correct.
And it's your responsibility to make sure that any evidence that is collected in regards to the investigation of this case is maintained, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, but you didn't do that in this case, did you?
What are you referring to?
I'm referring to all the evidence that was destroyed in this case. They never got to the defense, that's what I'm referring to.
Nothing was destroyed. I did not destroy anything.
I'm not saying you destroyed it, but you know you didn't save it properly, did you? There was evidence that was not saved properly in this.
That was not under my watch.
Okay, well, you're the lead detective,
Correct.
right? When these officers store that evidence, you're supposed to make sure it gets stored properly, right?
They are responsible to citing the correct case number, whatever the case may be, whether it be an investigation, arrest, or whatever it is.
These kind of BS. Now, for you who don't know, hi, I'm a union rep. I do labor law. I've met so many middle management and higher bosses that says, but that was that person's responsibility. My answer is, I don't care. If that person didn't know what to do right, it's because you failed to train them properly. It's still on you. If you're the one in charge, you're the one put in charge, you're in charge.
They are responsible for saving that. And then from that information, then I look into it to make sure we have it. And if that particular case, I did not have it. I asked Detective Dalby, and he did not have those videos that you're referring to.
Ma'am, isn't it true that during the time you were investigating this case, going from state to state, trying to locate witnesses, trying to figure out what happened to Mrs. Botello, you also had some personal issues you were dealing with, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
That directly impacted this case, correct?
What are you referring to, sir?
I mean, just what I'm saying is you testified before you got the ball on this case.
Yes.
So there was evidence that the defense could have used that could have aided in our defense that we didn't get.
Everything was corrected before this trial started.
Where's the body cam?
That, you absolute fucktwat, has nothing to do with it. Defense planned their strategy before the trial. Once they is handed the case and the evidence, they start planning. They write their pre-trial motions. They do the exclusionary and all the thingies. And then, in the middle of everything, once everything is planned out, oopsie, boom, not good enough. You're a bad cop.
Video of Mrs. Floyd's interview with Mr. Hayes.
Who?
Is it Officer Hayes? Do you remember Officer Hayes talking to a security guard that claimed that he would install Miss Botello out near the Mustang Inn on or about October the 12th?
Let's see, because that wasn't Miss Botello. It was a tip that we got, but it wasn't her.
Oh, you fucktwat. He's not asking about the tip. He's asking about the body cam video. And here she's saying it wasn't her. Other officers has testified to, and an FBI agent has testified to, we don't know if it's her or not. Now, had the defense known this earlier, they could have placed other motions in place to claim other things.
How did you confirm it wasn't her?
Because we couldn't find her. I mean, it wasn't.
Because we couldn't find her?
I don't remember what it was.
Did you talk to Mr. Mitchell? Did you talk to Floyd Mitchell, the security guard out there?
I did not.
Because you didn't have the information?
I know we received the tip through social media. We had so many tips coming in at many times, and if I'm mistaken, I know the other detective actually would get tips as well, and he would follow up on them. But I just don't know. If I'm mistaken with another case, I'm sorry.
What do you mean you had too many tips?
Well, people would call the time. People that on social media, they would just call and give their their information, and some of that information we just followed up to see if there's anything. But
And some of what you followed up on, some of it you didn't? Is that what you're telling them to the jury?
well, no, it's some of the information was readable to actually follow up. Some was just information that they would say that they would make assumptions, and that's how the cases would be, or the tips would be.
But I'm specifically talking about
do you have the report or something I can refer to so I can see what it is, so I don't misspeak?
You didn't prepare, Mrs.
You know the report I'm referring to, right? With Officer Hayes?
I just remember you said something about Mustang Inn. I know they were looking for someone there at that location, but I'm not sure if that's the one you're referring to.
So you do know about it. How about that?
And as far as Officer Hayes is concerned, if he talked to people that indicated to him that they saw Marisela,
Your Honor, I'm gonna at this point object the lead.
just clearly this is also witness, so they lead detective. I'd like to have her accept as a house witness.
All right, I will allow you to question this witness as a hostile witness.
Yeah, here we go. Now she is a hostile witness. Now the defense has much more leeway in leading the question. The defense should be better prepared. You knew you were going to ask about the report.
And,
Where is it? It's your
and
first
you
witness.
remember us discussing Officer Hayes in his report, or do you?
I have to refer what you're talking about. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Lead detective. Oh, I have no idea. Oh, you're talking about this. Oh, I have no idea.
Approach it.
You may.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Let me show you what's marked as defense exhibit number 8 and ask you to just take your time and review that document.
No, it takes a lot more to be an effective assistance of counsel. A lot more. The standard is so high, so it's ridiculous. I mean, at the Alan Brown case, 32 seconds
Yes.
opening statement,
Okay. And so as the lead
and nodding off during the trial, not ineffective counsel.
detective in this case, did you ever personally talk to Officer Hayes?
No. Based on that
You never talked to one of your officers?
report, it states that Botello was there 2 weeks prior, and there's no record to indicate that she was there.
Well, I mean, the two guys that he talked to two guys. That he talked to William Brown and Octavius Brown, right? And they indicated that they thought they saw her a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yes,
All right. Well, this is October the 13th,
yes.
right?
But again, they saw someone 2 weeks ago who was not Botello because she was not in Dallas during that time frame, sir.
Ma'am, they
Oh, you.
said a couple of weeks. They didn't specifically say 14 days. They just said approximately a couple of weeks.
But that report is on October the 5th.
No. That process?
It's a report on the 5th.
Yeah, but I'm saying he talked to them on the 13th, October the
No,
13th.
yes, he talked to him, but here it says that let's see. Yeah, that's the officer stating that because she came in the 5th.
Right. So what?
So you misread in. You're making so much bad assumptions, lady.
They're saying the officer saying because she came on the 5th, they're saying he talked to them on the 13th. You know, he's basically saying, well, that's not 14 days, so no way they could have seen him.
No, let me see. Where is it? I just saw it.
Either way, it's
They said
seeing her on the
she'd
5th.
actually hang out over there.
Doesn't matter. But it shows
Right. That's what Brown was
how
saying,
bad
right?
she is.
Yes.
All right. But the bottom line is, what I'm saying is they didn't say 14 days ago.
Yeah, and I said this a lot of times. Once you have a tactic, you have to stick with it, and you should. I don't care what people said, saw, or anything. It's good to impeach her with, but don't involve it in your tactics. Your tactic should be the only person with means and motive and a history of violence is Charles Beltran. That should have been the entirety of your strategy, defense lawyer.
They just said a couple weeks. They were estimating, right?
Correct.
But regardless, did you ever talk to Octavius Brown or William Brown about what they've seen as a lead detective in this missing persons case?
I'm trying to remember if I actually, myself or the other detective who was working with me, called or made attempts. I don't remember.
Okay. What about after detective or after Officer Hayes talked to the Browns, they led him to the city inn, right? According to the report.
They what?
They led him over to the city inn, right?
Mustang Inn. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Because he started the city inn with those guys, right?
Yeah. He was way too lenient with Chucky. He should have had the one and only thing. I don't care about you went there or this. Okay, so you are a convicted felon. One of the convictions is violence to women or women. And you lied in your first. You lied and you lied and you lied. You lied in that case, that case, that case, that case. You lied to the investigator first, then you lied again, and then all of a sudden you blamed Miss Dykes. And we are supposed to believe that you're not lying again to avoid being prosecuted for murder. And then variations of that. It really isn't that hard.
No, these guys are at the Mustang Inn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, for whatever reason, and I'll talk to Officer Hayes about it, he ends up at the Mustang Inn,
Yes.
where he talks to yet another witness, who's actually a security guard over there, right?
Yes, sir.
And that person says that he saw her. He shows him a picture, and that person says, yeah, I saw her on the 12th, right?
According to this, yes, sir.
All right. And what I want to know is, did you talk to that security guard about?
I personally did not.
And you agree with me that the conversation between Officer Hayes and the security guard and the Browns would have all been recorded on.
Now this is good. Problem is, they are trying to move 2 tracks. Either Chucky did the killing, or she somehow just walked out. I mean, I wouldn't have paid 2 cents to these people who allegedly saw her. Not 2 cents. It's just a waste of time. If your strategy is pinning it on Chucky, that should be the entirety of your line of questioning, presenting evidence, cross-examination. Everything should be about Chucky. Chucky did it. He's the liar. He's a lying liar who lies. He is the one with the history of violence, of felony, of this and that.
body cam.
Yes.
But we don't have that body cam, do we?
No.
And that's because for whatever reason it wasn't saved, right?
What case number do you have for that? On that report? When a video is recorded or actually downloaded, and for them to actually save it, it has to be the correct either incident number or the case number. Here it shows the case number, and then again, it just depends on the officer. And if it's not typed correctly, then
Blaming the officer. That means he is a piss poor trained officer because he has a piss poor boss. And you're the lead detective. All falls down back to you.
when I retrieve it or try to retrieve it, I may or may not get it.
Okay, but what I'm getting at, Detective Ramirez,
Yes, sir.
is Officer Hayes would have shown not only the Browns, but the security guard a photo of Marisela, correct?
If they showed him, yes.
That's what his report says.
Yes.
And him showing that photo of Marisela would have been recorded on a body cam had it been saved properly, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then the members of the jury could determine for themselves whether or not Mr. Mitchell and the Browns appeared to really recognize this girl.
Yes, sir.
But we don't have that evidence, do we?
No, sir.
And regardless of whose fault it is,
Yeah, this is a good. I mean, this could have been. It's still the best he's done so far in this trial. But still, if you're claiming Chucky did it and she was still alive, you can't have both. That's just confusing for the jury. The prosecution, although horribly bad in my opinion, have a straight line. This is what we are proving.
we don't have that evidence, do
No, sir.
we? And you're saying you never talked to Mr. Mitchell because I guess it wasn't probably stolen.
I
Or
know.
you just disregarded because it didn't fit your theory of the case.
Yeah, I that tactic would have been objected a lot. Here's the thing. I don't do trials. I do negotiations, mitigations, and stuff like that, but I do it on a really high level. And you might not like me as much as you do if you saw me doing that, because I can be kind of an ass when I do it. Because sometimes you have to. Yeah, exactly. The jury isn't going to believe she was wandering for days and after and happened upon. I mean, if they saw her on the 5th and on the 12th in the same area where her family is putting up posters, they would have found her.
Did you understand my question?
Yes, I was trying to
So
process.
I guess what I'm getting at is all these tips that came in, if it didn't fit your theory of the case, you didn't follow up on it, did you?
Well, the information I received was not, did not link to what he's referring to.
Well, but you didn't check. You didn't talk to Mitchell. You didn't talk to the Browns. You're the lead detective on the murder case, and you didn't talk to these witnesses. Correct?
I don't recall, I'm sorry.
Okay. As far as the video at the Reno location where you had another patron that claimed that they thought they might have seen Marisela, what, if anything, did you do? Now, I understand the FBI was involved, but what, if anything, did you do to follow up on that to try to figure out who the patron was?
Which place are you referring to?
The Reno bar that was downtown or in a Deep Ellum area, where, remember them looking at a video that they said they couldn't tell whether it was her or not? Just if you remember, do you remember that,
I'm trying to remember.
ma'am?
I'm trying to remember.
Why are you trying to remember? You already stated it wasn't her. You said that with confidence. But now all of a sudden, oh, I don't remember. Oh, I don't remember. She has worse memory than the stroke victim had in our previous stream.
If I showed you the FBI, I guess, is that Page? Do you know who Taylor Page is?
Yes.
All right.
And he has a good flow and a break because he doesn't have his paper in order. This is his first witness on his case in chief. Everything should be exactly lined up. You shouldn't care about her answer. You should care about your questions. Yeah, I wish the defense was better. Much. This is way over the defense attorney's head. Way over his head.
Let's put you in your. Do you remember what Mr. Page emailed you about the Reno bar?
No, can I see the email?
Okay. Is this going to be the email he sent you?
Yes.
Okay. I'm asking that you reference the highlighted portion here.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. And all I'm asking is, I understand that they concluded that they couldn't tell whether it was her or not. But what I want to know is, did you follow up on it?
Well, we could not have any videos because it was already after the fact. When I got the case was in December, and when this happened, it was in October.
Speaks about the absolute piss poor job the police force did on this. They did jack crap until they were forced to because Marisela's family forced them. They themselves obtained video from the 7-Eleven and gave to the police. If they hadn't, that would also have been overwritten and gone. Because the Dallas police force couldn't give two shits on a straw about a missing 23-year-old woman from Seattle. Hispanic woman, yes, but they couldn't give two shits on a straw about her.
So a lot of the video that we got was from either family members that came from Seattle to actually retrieve videos of what they had.
So even this actual video that they're referencing, we don't have, right?
No.
Ma'am?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. I mean, you haven't seen it, right?
No, I have not.
And
I know.
because you haven't seen it, you weren't able to turn it over to the state for them to turn it over to us, right?
Correct.
I want to also ask you, I want to talk to you about Charles Beltran. Can we talk about Charles Beltran?
Sure.
Where did you meet Charles Beltran?
Where did I meet him?
Yeah, you went to Utah, right?
Yes, sir.
He was in jail, right?
Yes, sir.
And you interviewed him there, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's talk about that. And specifically, when you went to interview Mr. Beltran, he was at that time, y'all put out a capital murder warrant, right?
Yes, sir.
And he was picked up on a capital murder warrant.
Yes.
So you picked him up on a capital
And
murder.
is it safe to say that initially all three people were charged with capital murder because y'all suspected that Mrs. Botello may have not gone with them willingly, correct?
Correct.
That's why y'all did capital murder.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but when you initially talked to Mr. Beltran, he was willing to talk to you, right?
Yes.
He
Yes.
waived his Miranda rights,
Yes, he did.
talked to you and
He's
Detective
squealing
Ortiz.
Correct.
like a piglet.
And what did he tell you at first?
He didn't know anything.
He told you that
That he had left her. He had left her at a garage or gas station or something like that.
But you asked him specific questions, correct?
Yes.
You remember him telling you that that they went to his car,
Yes.
they smoked?
Yes.
But as far as any sex in his car, he told you they didn't have.
I already know, but I'm trying to avoid having that knowledge in my head. I don't care which way it went. I'm about the trial. We'll get to the jury eventually, but I'm focusing on the trial. The absolute piss poor job from the police force, the ridiculous case the prosecution has put up, and the absolute cluster F from the defense.
Sex in the car.
Correct. Correct.
Because you specifically asked him that, right?
Yes.
But you know from other witnesses in this case, he indicated to them that they had sex in the car, right?
Correct.
That she willingly had sex with him in the car. And then they went to the Mesquite.
That's what other witnesses said.
Well, that,
They went to the 7-Eleven, then to Mesquite.
okay, like that said that he told him that they had sex in the car, then he dropped her off, right?
Yes.
But we know that was a lie because we have him going to Mesquite.
Correct.
Her phone going to Mesquite.
Yes.
A lying liar who lies.
All right. But as far as you were concerned, he told you they never had sex in the car.
Correct.
But he did admit to you that they were drinking.
Yeah, here's the thing. He is the only one in this trial who says they actually had sex. Voluntarily. He's the only one who claims that. Nobody else. For all we know, she went there to get weed. For all we know. And then something happened.
They took 2 shots at the house and smoked weed in the car.
All right. And I want to talk about the first version he gave you. You recall him saying they went to the house. Then they were at his car. They went to the house. They drank a little and had sex. She passed out. I let her sleep and I went in the studio. And he fell asleep on the futon.
Yes, that's what he said.
And when he's telling you this, he's not stumbling. He's trying to be as convincing as possible, right?
Yes, he was talking to me. He was being cooperative.
And telling you that he passed out, or he says he went to sleep on the futon, right?
Yes, he did say that.
He ended up passing out because he was fucked up. Remember telling you that?
I don't remember F word, but he was crashed out. He crashed out.
Now, I asked you to listen to your video.
Yes, but I
Listen
can't
to the
remember.
video, so you don't remember him saying
I just
that?
remember he said he did pass out on the futon.
Because he was fucked up.
Okay.
But you don't remember that part.
I
Yes,
don't
you
remember.
do.
I don't remember the F word. I mean, I don't remember if he said that or not, but I know he crashed out on the
Well, you
futon.
remember he said he woke up and everybody was gone.
Yes, he did say that.
Nina and Lisa were gone. Marisela was gone. He thought she took an Uber, right?
Correct.
He's telling you that he's not stuttering. He's being as convincing as possible. Isn't
He's talking.
he? He's trying to convince you that that's what happened, right?
Right.
That he doesn't know anything.
Correct.
And he said he wanted to call and check on her, but he didn't have her number, right?
Correct.
And he also said he kept calling Nina and Lisa, but they wouldn't answer.
Correct.
No worries, because the coverage of this had so few viewers from the original stream. It should have been more coverage. The bigger channel should have covered it. But here I am, covering it.
So he went back to Dax's place down in Deep Ellum.
He met him in Deep Ellum.
Dax?
Yes.
In
Well,
fact-
he did go. Yeah, correct.
Well, in fact, he led you to believe he was with Dax that whole next day, right?
Did anyone happen? It was that night.
On October the 5th.
Right.
He led
That
you,
evening.
other than in the early morning hours when he
Yes.
was obviously with Marisela, he's saying after he left Mesquite, he went back to Deep Ellum and hung out with Dax. I'm talking about in the first
And then,
version.
okay, I'm thinking about the third one. Okay. No, yes, he said he was his friend.
In the first version.
Yes.
Didn't say anything about going to Carmen's apartment, right?
Right. He did not.
Because had he told you he went to Carmen's apartment after being in contact with Marisela, you guys would have went to Carmen's apartment, right?
What's Carmen's last name?
Carmen was his girlfriend. That's what he told you.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
You never even met with Carmen, did you?
How the flaming F can you be the lead detective and not knowing the prime suspect's girlfriend's name? How can you sit there and act as you don't? Either she is completely incompetent or she's lying. I don't know which one is worse.
Oh, but is that her? I'm trying to.
Carmen is a girl that's supposed to be from Australia. His girlfriend.
Yeah, she was out of town. She was no longer in Dallas.
Yeah. When she found out. So, well, we really don't know. Because to this day, nobody can get a hold of Carmela. They don't know where she went. They have a phone number that doesn't answer. And she's responsible for that. Because she, during all of this, had all the information available. And she couldn't care less as well. Because not until they actually found the remains in March, 3 months after she took over the case, everybody was, whoopsie, she was gone.
She probably left Dallas, right?
Yes.
But more importantly, at some point in one of these versions,
Mm-hmm.
I think it may have been the final version, after he's putting everything on Lisa, he tells you he goes to Carmen's apartment, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
And you guys don't talk to Carmen, do you?
No.
Y'all don't find out where her apartment is, do you?
No, we try to.
They never even asked, where does she live?
Get help with the FBI to locate her.
Okay, but
But
as
we
far
never
as her,
I mean, why do you need to locate her? I mean, it's good to locate her, but why did you never go to her apartment? Why did you didn't even care enough to find out where Carmen used to live?
apartment is what I'm talking about. You got Mr. Beltran having contact with a missing person, admitting that he went to this apartment, and we do nothing to check to see if there's any indication that Marisela also was at that apartment, do you?
No, sir.
Nothing.
They
They
don't
did
roof on that
nothing.
apartment, do they?
No.
But we know he went to that apartment on that day, if you were to believe him, right?
According to him.
Hi, Gina.
And you never talked to Carmen because she disappeared, right?
Correct.
All right, let's talk about what else he told you. I think you asked him, if Marisela was intoxicated. He told you she wasn't, right?
Right.
Said she was cool.
Yes.
So the only thing that happened in the car is that they just chopped it up in the car, right?
Yes.
They said they just talked and smoked weed.
Yes.
And then you try to pin him down in regards to what time he would have left. I guess Deep Ellum area, going back to Steve, he really wasn't sure what.
Correct.
And do you remember specifically asking him about where Nina and Lisa were when he got to the house?
He said they were in the bed in the room.
He said they were in the bed asleep, right?
Yes, sir.
And in his first version, he said they never came out of the room. Remember that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. They, meaning Lisa and Nina, never came out of their room.
One of the stories he did say that.
Okay. He told you he woke up, his bed was clean, his room was clean. He thought that Marisela just took an Uber, right?
Yes.
That was a lie, wasn't it?
Oh, you remember him talking about that studio and how him and the guys would always sleep in the studio?
Yes.
So the fact that he had more than just, one or two women over there, he made it clear to you that he had friends come over at times.
Yes.
And they'd be in the studio recording.
Yes.
He told y'all that he didn't wake up till about what time? Do you remember? In that first story.
I don't remember.
And he said he didn't wake up till he didn't get up
It was
till
like noon. Yes. Now I remember. Yes. He did say
y'all,
that.
Y'all knew that was a lie because you already had the oil change information, right?
Yes.
But he said due to the trip, he was sleeping, he didn't get up to noon, right?
Correct.
And then he went about his day. Remember that?
Yes.
And because you already had information that he was with Madeline, you asked him, were you with a friend? Well, you asked him, did you go see another friend? Or you asked him, did you go see a friend? And he told you no, he was with that, right? In that first version.
Yeah, he had different versions, so I may have asked him.
Okay. And as far as
Almost lies.
Lisa was concerned, you remember asking him if he was intimate with Lisa?
Yes.
And he told you no, right?
Yes.
That all this was solid his potential, right?
Yes.
So he lied about that too.
In fact, he kind of got ugly with it when you kind of pressed him on being intimate with Lisa. He was like, have you now look at Lisa? Like, I would never sleep with an older woman like that, right?
Yes, he said that.
At some point, you told her that Marisela was dead. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
And you know you knew more, right?
Yes.
And at that point, after he finished that first version, he made it clear to him this is the only time he's going to get the chance to talk to y'all, right?
Yes.
And those are basically the interrogation techniques that y'all use. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Let them know, look, you better talk to us now. If you don't talk to us now, you're not going to be able to help yourself later,
Correct.
right? So y'all kind of went through that, right?
Yes.
You remember telling them that you need to go ahead and talk to you because if something else comes out, he's going to look bad. Remember that?
Yes.
And this is all before he goes into any version where Lisa is supposed to stab Marisela, right?
Correct.
Up to this point, he hadn't said anything about Lisa stabbing Marisela.
No.
You remember Ortiz specifically asked him, hey, you're a felon, right?
Yes.
And then that's when he tells him, well, this is capital murder. You can get life without parole, right? Remember that?
Yes.
All the death penalty.
Correct.
Do you remember asking him about were there times when you brought the girls over and Lisa would get mad?
Yes.
And that's before he started talking about Lisa being jealous, right?
I just remember he said he was jealous.
Ma'am?
I remember him saying that she would get jealous or get mad.
After you said, has there been times when you brought girls over and Lisa would get mad?
Correct.
Then he started talking about Lisa being jealous, right?
Yes.
And at this point, you specifically asked him, did anyone get hurt?
Yes.
Was there any blood in that room?
Yes.
And he says no, right?
Yes.
He emphatically says no.
Correct.
You even asked him if there was a fight, and he said no.
Correct.
But he did tell you that so many people come through there, right?
Yes.
But he doesn't know.
Correct.
Asked him had he been hurt
Correct.
that night, and he said no.
He
right?
said no.
And then you specifically asked him about if there's anything that happened in that room where blood would have penetrated the car.
Yes, I asked him.
And he said no.
Correct.
Lying,
And then
lying,
at one
lying.
point, we finally asked him, or you told him that Marisela's blood was in that room. You asked him what his explanation was, right?
Yes.
And what was his response?
I think he said, didn't remember.
Ma'am?
I don't remember. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't remember verbatim.
But you also told him that you found his blood in the room
Yes.
with Marisela's blood, right?
Yes, I told him that.
That wasn't true, was it?
Correct.
And then you start kind of going into, well, if it was a mistake, if you were doped up and you don't remember, just tell him, right?
Correct.
And he still was emphatic that nothing happened, right?
Correct. Correct.
And that's when you said, don't let these girls put this on you. You remember telling him that?
I remember we told him that to referring to Lisa.
Oh. So he didn't tell the story about Lisa Beltran doing the stabby until after you told him, don't let the girls pin this on you. He was getting directives from you after lying for a couple of hours straight. Lying. Then you tell him, please lie or pin it on the girls. And all of a sudden, yeah, she did it. She did it.
Wrong.
Right. Don't let them put it on you. That would be unfair, right?
Correct.
And you even told him, I need to know what happened because you're going down and they're going to be laughing at you.
Yes, I said that.
Then you asked him about the last time they spoke. Whether you remember that?
Yes.
And he said it could have been 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes.
And y'all also kept telling them, look, we know, when we ask you these questions, we already know the answers.
Correct.
So you guided him
And
to the right hand.
before he gives you the version with Lisa's stabbing Marisela, you tell him it's in his best interest to tell you what happened. This is his only chance, right?
Yes. Yes.
And before he gives the version of Lisa and Nina coming into the room attacking Marisela, you tell him that those attorneys are going to point the finger at you,
Correct.
don't you?
Correct.
So you need him to believe that they're going to point the finger at him if he doesn't point the finger at them.
Well, no, just for him to actually say what happened, put him in round him in a corner and try to get information from him. That was the whole purpose.
Okay. But at some point, you tell him the attorneys are going to point the finger at you.
Yes.
They're going to save themselves.
Correct.
And remember, Ortiz, tell him, I know you're scared. I can see your,
The heart,
yeah,
his vein.
yeah, I know you're scared, right?
Yes.
And what y'all asked him, what did they?
Here's the thing: in Texas, cops can lie. They can indicate. They can do more, or not almost. So here's the thing: what I think speaks against Lisa Dykes is she did the right thing. She lawyered up. Charles Beltran is too much of a moron loser. So he talks. And the prosecution is using that to charge Lisa Dykes. She kept silent. Why? Because she works in a law office. Charles Beltran is a fucking moron. That's why he's been convicted at least 3 or 4 times. Because he's an idiot. So he talks. And the prosecution is using that against the people who is actually doing the right thing. Lawyer up, shut up. But as someone said earlier, yeah, going to Cambodia was a really, really bad idea. That is conscience of guilt.
And that's when he goes into this version of Lisa.
Going towards him and Marisela with a knife.
Well,
No.
That's not the first
No,
version.
no. That was
The next version was they came into the room, they were arguing with him because he had a girl over there and they were doing drugs.
Correct.
They argued and they left.
They left.
Then him and Marcel went to sleep. Next thing he knows, that's when Lisa came in.
Yes.
And he woke up with Lisa straddled over Marcella. Do you remember that part?
I remember one of the versions he said that Ms. Dykes was actually straddled over Marisela.
All right. And do you remember him talking about her having her hand on his neck?
One hand on the neck, and then I think the left one and the right one with
the knife?
With the knife.
All right. And he's telling you that she's stabbing him, right?
Yes. In the motion. Forceful. I can't remember what word he used, but.
Well, I mean, he's actually motioning. No,
yes. He is.
Stabbing.
Yes.
Stabbing Marcella, correct?
Correct.
And he says in that version that he pushes him off, right?
Push her off the bed.
Does he tell you to push both of them off or just Lisa?
I think it was just Lisa at that moment.
In that version?
Yes, if I'm mistaken, it was her.
So he keeps changing the story all the time. And then you decide, no, that sounds like a good version. We will go with that one.
Okay. And he runs out of the room.
I think, doesn't Nina come in?
Well, he says Nina comes in,
and then
Nina
he
pushes him.
And he takes off, it gets his clothes. He didn't have his clothes on, he put clothes on and take off.
But he specifically told you that Nina comes in and helps attack Marisela, right?
I don't recall hearing that, or that he actually said that Nina attacked.
Well, he said they attacked.
Okay.
They referring to Lisa?
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
And I mean, the fact that he says that Nina came in the room and they attacked Marisela, again.
It should be both.
I'm sorry, what did you?
I said it should be both. Mm.
Yeah. And that's aiding in your investigation to charge Nina Morano with murder, right?
Correct.
The fact that after he claims Lisa stabbed her, she comes in and helps in your attack, right?
Correct.
Because that's what Beltran told you.
That's what he said.
And remember him saying something about him running out of there and just leaving?
Yes.
I think he said something about Marcella was saying baby.
He said
him baby.
That's what he said initially. She was calling him baby. And then afterward he said he doesn't know who said that.
Right. But either way, he ran out of there and left.
Even
Yes.
think of
And
going to
this
trial
version, he
with
tells you that he
trial
does,
of Menor.
and he calls his homeboy, Brian,
Yes.
and tells Brian what happened. Right?
He said the girls were tripping or something like that.
Right. But he tells you he calls Brian.
Yes.
And that was a lie.
According to him, yes.
Well, no, I'm saying he never called Brian because you would have talked to Brian.
Correct.
You would have asked Brian, hey, man, what did he say? Right?
Correct.
But he says he left, right?
Yes.
In any of these versions that he gave you regarding this attack, this stabbing, Did he ever say anything about pinning Lisa Dykes against the wall?
So he invented that on the stand. He invented a new version on the stand.
Did he ever say anything about Lisa? Y'all take care of this. That he told her that he was pinned up against the wall, and he told her, hey, y'all need to take care of this, and he left.
No, I don't recall. On that interview I had with him, no, he did not say that.
You know, he never told y'all that, did he?
No, that's what I'm saying, no.
That's what he said on the stand. So he changed his story again on the stand.
And as far as you were also telling him, asking him, referring to Ms. Beltran, why didn't you just call the police? You didn't do anything.
Yes, so he did ask him that.
And he said he didn't think anybody would believe him, right?
Yes, he said he was scared.
Because of the way he looked, his record, no one's going to believe he had nothing to do with it, right?
Correct.
Oh, the Santa Marta,
And then and on.
he admitted that that was his stuff at the house, right?
Yes.
Oh, really? I thought the prosecution pinned that on Nina and Lisa, but as it turns out, he says it was his. This portion about him lying, Charles Beltran lying who lies, that should be in the focus of the defense entire case, cross-examination, everything should have been about. But he claims stabbing, there was blood everywhere. Why? This is infuriating. The defense lawyer could have shown the picture of the smudge on the wall, a foot long and half a foot wide. He could have showed photos of the wall. Where's all the blood that Mr. Beltran claims? There are none. Because what Mr. Beltran says is not supported by evidence. He claims stabbing motion. There was no blood spatter. He claims they stabbed. There was blood over her. She was there. She bled out. She died. Where's the blood? And he never did that. He never, during the cross-examination with Mr. Beltran, showed the pictures of the blood and asked, where is all the blood you claim was there? I don't know. Because it doesn't support his story.
And I'm talking about the altar that was in the room. You know what I'm
Yes,
talking about?
yes, that's his.
All right. Oh, do you also remember, even after him giving his last version, and you're just really just going over his activities after, like when he went to New Orleans, remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He told you he went to New Orleans with Lisa, remember that?
But it was another friend. It wasn't Lisa Dykes.
No, I know it wasn't another friend. I'm asking you what he told you.
That's what he said. It was Lisa.
He said it was Lisa. So he's still lying to you, right?
Yes.
Because you know it was Madeline, right?
Yes. Yes.
But he's saying Lisa.
Correct.
Lisa took him to New Orleans.
That's what he said.
Lying liar who lies. Here's the thing. We don't know what's the truth because Mr. Beltran is unable to
Before
not
he gave you the version
lie.
of Miss Dykes stabbing Marisela, do you remember asking him, are you a monster?
Yes.
He said, they're going to make it seem like you are a monster. Remember telling him that?
Yes.
And that's before he gives you the version regarding Miss Dykes, right?
Yes.
And just so we're clear, you filed a case against Lisa Dykes, Nina Morano, and Charles Beltran, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were the lead detective, right?
Correct.
But not anymore, right?
No.
You were demoted, correct?
I was transferred.
So you weren't demoted?
I'm still in my same rank, not as a detective though.
Okay, you're just not a detective.
She was demoted. Same rank, just not a detective. Even the police department thinks she did such a piss poor job. They demoted her. And she was the lead detective in this case that the prosecution relies on.
Correct.
And that's largely because of
The videos.
things that happened on this case.
Yes, sir.
All videos and things that went missing.
That was not the reason. It's because I actually forgot to actually send over the videos, and when I caught it, I made corrections right away. I was just
That might be the official version, but you know it, Miss Ramirez. You are bad at your job. And here's the thing. How many else are there, Mrs. Ramirez? How many more cases have you butchered? How many more? And you still work in the police force.
on a mistake.
Well, but that was the only evidence you didn't turn over. You still had stuff in your trunk, didn't you?
The trunk.
Didn't you bring over boxes? What?
Well, that was from headquarters.
Oh, okay. You had to go back over the headquarters.
Yes, that's where we got everything.
Okay. But that was all stuff that you just didn't turn over. And so the judge made you turn it over, right?
Which can you remind me
I'm talking about the stuff that you just left in your closet at headquarters.
what closet?
Where were the bones? Do you
Oh,
remember
the
bones?
box. Yes,
Yeah, the
the
box
box
with the bones. Where was that?
at headquarters.
In your closet?
Well,
No,
it was in a file.
In the file?
Mhm.
Yeah, we have to answer yes or no.
Yes.
But again, that involved this case.
Yes.
She left a box with bones in a file cabinet of sorts. And you didn't turn it over until the judge forced you to. Are you fucking kidding me? How is this person still working in the police force? Why do you even take the box of bones from headquarters and put it in a file cabinet? And she did turn it over after the judge ordered her to. But yeah, I lost count over the FFS in this trial, but I'm going to go with Benjamin Gray's suggestion. FFS counter unlimited. How? I don't say this often, but there are some people who simply are incompetent. Full stop. If she worked in a burger joint, she would put 2 patties and the bun in the middle. That's the level of incompetency here. She would fry the burger sauce. Instead of washing the lettuce, she would cook it. Whole. I knew she was a witness, and I knew it was terrible. But this, I've never heard of any. I have never heard of anything like this. A judge forcing her to hand over a box of bones to the She should be homeless. She doesn't have the capacity to do work without fucking it up. Now I understand why. I mean, there was no way for the prosecution to have her on the stand and testify as a lead detective. There's no way of rectifying this. No way. I would ask the judge again for a directed verdict. Because this level of incompetence shows that nothing that comes out of Mr. Beltran's mouth can be believed. And since she did such a piss poor job during the investigation, nothing should be allowed in.
Thank you, Detective.
Yes, sir.
Cross-examination.
How do you rectify this? Yeah, I need to hear this.
Yes, Your Honor. Detective Ramirez, how are you this morning?
I'm okay.
Okay. I just want to start with kind of what he left off with, okay?
Yes.
You and I had met several times over the course of, when I received this case, was signed this case in, I think, May of 2022. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what he's talking about essentially is that you had, there's a DMV system online where there are photographs, videos, things of that nature, and a portal on your end, and you have to tag a certain way, hit a button, and that's simplifying it for those.
Yeah. If Marisela's family wasn't obnoxious enough to get that video from the 7-Eleven, nobody would have known she went voluntarily with Mr. Beltran. They would have been in the dark. Because Mr. Beltran's friend, they don't call the cops. Definitely not calling the cops. Prepare testimony incoming. I would assume so. All of a sudden, I suspect her memory becomes impeccable.
Needs to transfer to our end. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. We had discovered right before trial that several photographs, and to be very clear, the vast majority of the photographs that we were talking about that were transferred late were all photographs of property from the arrest of Nina Morano and Lisa Dykes. Is that correct?
Correct.
And it was all their property.
Yes.
And they knew all of what they had. Is that right?
Correct.
That was a vast majority of the things that were turned over late.
Yes.
Now, this box that we're discussing, in, I believe it was January of 2022, February of 2022, February 2nd, you actually talked to some individuals who were out at the site. The community is highly involved in this case, and they have like a little memorial out there that people go to and attend to. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that's where her body was found. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it was about a year and a half, or maybe a year and several months after her remains were found at that site that these people were out there. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
They picked up a bra and some panties that were out there, and then 2 boats. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And you didn't turn it over until a judge ordered you. You absolute fucktwat. And the defense, objection, leading. Don't let them ask her yes and no questions. She's a hostile witness to you, not to them.
And based on the length of time, it just, it wasn't tested, it wasn't put in the property room, and it didn't appear that those items would be necessarily related to this case. Because
They were never tested. They found bra, panties, and bones on the site where Marisela's remains were found, and they were never tested.
been over a year since her remains have been found.
Correct.
And you were out there for at least one of the searches. There was a couple of searches at that site after the initial find. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Dozens of people, this far apart, 3-4 feet apart from each other, walking back and forth through there to find as many items as they could. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And it's safe to say that if there was a pair of bra and panties out there at that time, certainly those would have been picked up.
Correct.
Okay. And you're aware that the
What do you mean certainly would have been picked up? That's a defense, objection, speculation. We don't know how thorough they were in the first. And remember, they searched it after a heavy rain. We don't know what they did see or didn't see. Everything is evidence, especially if it's found on an active, on a crime scene where the remains of a murder victim was found. And you never tested it? Why are we even having a trial about murder? You have everything else. Why the action? You can get all 3 on tampering with evidence and everything. Why having Chucky, absolute loser, failed rapper, moron on the stand? A lying liar who lies.
testing after that was done where those items did not come back to anybody related to this case.
Correct.
Now,
Okay, they did.
let's go back and talk about, kind of the sequence of events as far as prior to talking to Charles Beltran, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall going to Florida in March to try to locate Lisa and Nina and Charles Beltran?
Yes, ma'am.
And you guys had some tips, or not necessarily tips, but you had some cell phone records and some addresses and things like that led you to believe they might be in Miami. Is that right?
Yes.
And you guys followed up on that.
Yes.
And you got the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to help you. Is that
Yes,
right?
we did.
And just before that, I believe it was March 22nd of 2021, you actually had the 3 warrants signed by a judge here in Dallas. Is that right?
Yes.
And you had probable cause affidavit, and that particular judge reviewed over it, and he felt like you had probable cause for the arrest of all 3 of them. Is
Yes.
that right?
Yes.
Okay, so that was before you ever talked to anybody.
Correct.
That was even before her remains were found. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, you guys were actually in Florida when you got word that a person that was trying to track feral cats out in Wilmer, just off the road, just off of, I believe, is it Post Oak Road?
Yes.
Just off of that road, had found a skull.
Yes.
And based on that, they were able to do dental identification records, and it was confirmed that was Marisela. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at that point, you all found a good address in Miami for Nina Morano. Is that right?
Correct.
And FDLE actually sent someone to sit on her house and
Surveillance.
survey her house and just watch and see the comings and goings of who all was coming in and out. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in the course of that, the individual that was sitting on that house ended up making arrest of Nina Morano.
Correct.
Okay. And he wasn't able to arrest Lisa though, because you ran right then. She left that apartment right then and took off to Orlando. Is that right?
Correct.
And you went up to Orlando. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And Lisa was arrested in Orlando. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And that was on March 26th that she was arrested. Does that sound right?
Yes.
And Nina Morano was arrested the day prior.
Correct.
Now, at that point, they were waiting to see if Charles Beltran would be at the hotel room with Lisa. Is that your understanding?
My understanding, yes.
Okay, but he wasn't there, was he?
No.
Okay, so the U.S. Marshals start looking for him. They get some leads that at some point he is in Utah.
Correct.
And a team is sent out there to Utah, and they find him and arrest him. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so at the point that you talked to Charles Beltran, Nina and Lisa have already been arrested, correct?
Yes.
The warrant had already been issued.
Yes.
Okay, so you didn't get probable cause based on anything that Charles Beltran told you.
No.
It had already been done.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about your interview with Mr. Beltran. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
It was over 2 hours long. Is that right?
Yes.
And it's fair to say for the first 45 minutes he pretends like he didn't know anything.
Correct.
You weren't convinced of that word.
Correct.
Now you weren't convinced because you've done this full investigation. You started.
Defense. Object. Prosecution is testifying. Objection. Prosecution is putting words in her mouth. Objection. Facts not in evidence.
With this case on December 8th of 2020. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Marisela Botello had been missing since October 5th. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you knew that Marisela Botello was a responsible individual. You knew that she had a job. You knew that she had a stable family. She had friends. She had all the reasons to go back to Seattle on October 5th as her flight had been scheduled. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you knew based on talking to these people that her not posting on social media and all those things, just that was not normal for her at all.
Correct.
And you know that the Youth Crimes Division that does these missing persons, they get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of missing persons reports on young people in their early 20s that just decided not to show back up home.
True. Correct.
And most of the time, those missing persons end up just showing back up.
Yes.
Maybe they went out and wanted to,
How many of these have their entire family and friends or a lot of people showing up, forcing the cops to to start an actual investigation? How many of these get you the 7-Eleven video? See, she was walking with this man. Who is he? How many of these missing people have all of that and you still did jack shit for weeks?
go do drugs for several days, go prostitute at hotels and things like that. That's kind of what that normally looks like. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
The reason you all got involved is because her bank records showed no activity at all.
Object
Phone records showed
defense.
no activity at all.
Correct.
No contact with family.
Right.
It's like she dropped off the face of the earth.
Yes.
It's like she had been murdered.
Sure.
So that's why eventually Special Investigations Unit got involved. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And
The Special Investigations Unit didn't get involved until the family of Marisela forced them, because they started to get interviews in papers. They started to get everything talked about in local TV shows. That's why you started investigation. And you still did such a piss poor job doing it. You had Charles Beltran lying his way to a deal.
you know all these things before you ever talked to Charles Beltran. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You also knew that the FBI had gotten involved early on, about October 12th, in trying to locate Marisela. Is that right?
Correct.
You knew that they had talked to Lisa Dykes, and Lisa Dykes lied to him. You knew that.
Correct.
Okay, you knew that Charles went on the run with Madeline Alvarez first.
Yes.
You knew that Lisa and Nina met him up in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
You knew that they traveled up to Buffalo and got him a passport.
Correct.
You knew that Lisa
Objection.
and Nina had paid off his child support so that he could get that passport.
Objection, 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 objection,
You
objection.
knew that he had gone all the way.
Objection. I mean, everything here needs to be objected to. Everything.
To Mexico.
Yeah, and now the prosecution gets to testify their line. This is what we knew. This is what we knew. This is what we knew.
With Lisa and Nina, and that they had been there for 3 to 4 weeks. Is that
Correct.
You knew that Lisa and Nina had been traveling freely back and forth. Is that right?
Correct.
You knew that Nina had suddenly, out of nowhere, decided to sell her house in Pennsylvania.
Correct.
In fact, she made a call around October 12th. This was the same time that the first missing persons of Marisela Botello reports come out in the news.
Correct.
I mean, is that just a coincidence, or is that something that makes you think that these ladies are involved?
Make me feel that they were involved.
So you know all this information before you even talk to Charles Beltran, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And generally in interrogations, when you're talking to an individual, one of the techniques is just to let them know, you can talk, you can tell me whatever, and you let them tell that story, right?
Yes.
Every question from the defense should have been objected to. Objection relevance. Objections compound. Objection everything. Objection, the prosecution is testifying. Objection. And what does the defense lawyer do? He sits there and allows them to repeat their narrative. For whatever good he did in his direct examination, the prosecution is about to ruin it.
You're taught that.
Yes. Tell them, just have them say whatever they want to say, and then from there poke at their story.
Right. And so that you don't expect any person that you talk to right off the bat start telling you everything that happened.
Correct.
It's when they're confronted with evidence that you know, that you have in the case, that they start telling you, oh, okay, I need to tell you the truth because she knows what she's talking about.
Correct.
And that's the technique that you used in this case. Is
Yes.
that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're talking about the first 45 minutes of his interview. He acting like he just dropped her off somewhere, or he didn't know, or he just didn't know what happened.
Objection!
That didn't surprise you at all, did it?
No, ma'am.
Prosecute.
Okay.
It's
And I believe your
fine.
partner mentioned the capital murder, or one of those punishments,
Defense.
could
For
possibly
fuck's sake.
be the death penalty. But that's not something.
Do
guys
your
can decide,
damn
right?
job.
No,
Okay.
we don't.
Yeah, that's
We don't.
Dallas Police.
We don't do that.
And I mean, you're aware that that rarely happens here in Dallas County for our office to see the death penalty.
Correct.
Now, he didn't really bat an eye at that, did he?
No.
That didn't seem to bother him at all, did it?
No.
It was when you started talking about his daughters that he decided and he changed and he started telling you bits of the truth. Is that right?
Correct.
And you fully expect when you interview someone that you're not going to get all the truth at once.
Correct.
You're going to get bits. You're going to get pieces. I mean, that's just human nature, right?
No objections. The prosecution has more or less rectified. Didn't think that was possible. But this, if Miss Dykes gets convicted, it's because of her lawyer. What an absolute... Speaking of incompetence, that person, this lead detective who got demoted, I think it's the defense lawyer is at equal terms here.
Correct.
I mean, that's how most people, when they are confronted with evidence that their story ain't jiving,
Objection, speculation.
that's how they operate.
They do.
I mean, my teenager does it all the time. It's the same with Charles Beltran.
Your teenager. Better call him in.
Correct.
So in this situation, you talk about his daughters, and then he starts telling you that he knows more about what happened in that ring. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I want to make a distinction.
Ms. Pittman, if you could mark your spot, it is time for our morning break.
Yes,
We will be at recess for 5 to 10 minutes.
All right.
All right, we hit the 2-hour mark. I was hoping I could do this in 90 minutes. I couldn't. Because unlimited, for fuck's sake. The prosecution got 15 minutes of no breaks, nothing, no objections, him just sitting there like a sack of potatoes doing nothing while the prosecution is rectifying their case. I told you, strange case, stranger trial. And that's why I had to cover it, even if it's already concluded. Because Jesus Christ, superstar. Everybody, except maybe the judge in this trial. It's crazy. This is crazy. With a competent defense lawyer, this case probably would never have even reached trial. For murder, at least. A competent lawyer would at least have tried to negotiate a good deal. I don't know if they tried. I have no idea. I don't care. For the bodies, for tampering with evidence, tampering with human remains. But here we are. Yeah. When, you all know, Young Thug trial is up again, and I already promised I would do that gavel to gavel, and I will, either via recaps, live streams, and everything. Now, this week is, I have tons of work, but I wanted to get you this far. And Saturday or Sunday, we will go through the rest. We will go through the rest of the defense case in chief. And then see what the jury says. Thank you all for being here. Hit that like button. Tell your friends about me. Subscribe, or if you're already subscribed, check again. Sometimes YouTube's unsubscribe you because of their own reason. But thank you all for being here. I much appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I will see you all tomorrow, some time in the afternoon, US time, for the Young Thug trial. And then Saturday, it's Serial Killer Saturday. It's Yodi Day again. And then we will finish this trial. All right. Thank you all. See you around. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.